we were talking about Bradley Beal last week, and I have no idea why the NBA didn't get involved with this trade, because this trade was completely unfair. Okay, you look at what the Wizards got for Bradley Beal. Okay, and Bradley Beal, I understand. He's a 30-year-old player. He's still one of the better shooting guards in the NBA. He still averages about 23 points. You would think what we were hearing from the Knicks organization when they were interested in Bradley Beal, we heard R.J. Barrett's name. We heard Robinson's name in it. We've heard a couple of first-round draft picks for him. Bradley Beal, okay, for Chris Paul, who, by the way, we knew he wasn't staying with the Wizards. Landry Shamet, okay? Landry Shamet was okay last year. Probably, I would say, not that good, okay? They added a 2024 first-round pick swap, a 2024 second-round pick swap, a 2025 second-round pick swap, and you go on and on. It's all a pick swap. They didn't get any first-round draft pick for him, and Bradley Beal, to me, is an all-star every single year. That's how good he is. That is an absolute robbery. And by the way, I remember when Chris Paul was traded to the Lakers and David Stern stood in the way of him going to play with Kobe Bryant because he thought it was unfair. How does Adam Silver sit here today and say, hey, you know what? The Suns are going to get Bradley Beal, Jordan Goodwin, and Isaiah Todd for Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and a bunch of swaps that probably won't turn into anything. How does that make sense? Please sell that to me.
Well, I'm not going to sell you on the fact that this was a very lopsided trade. There's no argument about that. I think there's a couple of things that's a little caveats to it. One, the no trade clause that Bradley Beal had is what killed Washington with this. And let's just be honest, Washington created this problem. They gave Bradley Beal the super duper max last season and decided to throw in the no trade clause. If I'm giving you $250 million, I'm not giving you the no trade clause. He's the only player in the NBA to have a no trade clause. And then on top of that, the more teams would have been interested in Bradley Beal if he was willing to waive the no trade clause once he got there. He still has the no trade clause in Phoenix. So if the Phoenix wants to trade him, they have to send him somewhere where Bradley Beal wants to go. They have to get his permission to trade him. I think that played a role in the fact that there were just no other bidders at that point. Nobody was interested at that point to pay for him. So it worked out for, Phoenix gets a massive deal because of this. And, to go back to the Chris Paul situation where that trade was vetoed, part of the details of that is that the NBA actually owned the Hornets at that time. They were the Hornets. They weren't even the Pelicans. They were the Hornets at that time. The NBA owned it. So the other owners all looked at David Stern going like, yo, we're not cool with that. We own a piece of this. They're all putting into it. So they own a piece of it. So they're all looking at him going like, absolutely not. The only owners that were saying, hey, push this trade through was David Stern, because he was quasi the owner of the Hornets, the owner of the Rockets at that time, and I think it was Alexander, and it was the Buss family, because they were getting Chris Paul. Now, listen, I benefited greatly from it because I was working for the Clippers, and we got Chris Paul right after that. So I'm okay with that. So that's going to be fine by me. But
Lob City.
we have a lot of lopsided trades in the NBA. I think there's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I also think here's the thing. This doesn't make Phoenix
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Like that's the thing. Phoenix still has a whole ton of work to do, and they're going to be handcuffed by all the contracts now at this point. And I think they're going to be in a real situation where it better work out with those guys, because they're going all in now, and they only got 3.5 guys.
They're also talking about trading DeAndre Ayton now. There are stories coming out.
They have to. They got to fill the roster out. You got to turn DeAndre Ayton into 2 or 3 guys. Now, I'm not a big DeAndre Ayton fan and all that, but he's their best trade asset, and they don't have much. Like, they're going to go sign a whole bunch of vet minimum guys. Guys, they had a free agent workout with Jabari Parker and Stanley Johnson.
What?
Like, that was their free agent work. Like, that's what they're looking at in terms of filling out the roster. And no offense to those guys, but, like, what are we talking about here? Like, they need to go get bodies if they're going to try to go contend for a championship. You think Denver saw that and was worried?
No.